Hello, my name is Marta Dzido. I'm the author of a novel, Frajda, and I'm going to read it in English in translation of Marcelina Karcz. Thrills. I want to kill them all, so there's only us, you said. I was wearing a bright dress, the light flowing one, remember? It was a ripe July evening. The air was sticky, a trickle of sweat running down between my breasts. Your words smelled of some Bulgarian wine, or maybe Hungarian, or maybe... I'm sure it was red. One of the cheapest. One that only those who aren't rich in money can afford. They are rich in other things instead. I want only us, you said. The sky was bursting with pinkness. The day was evaporating from the streets. The sunset was spilling out lazily. July. We were both 20 and everything was there for us. Your tan was sweet and you didn't want to stop more and more. It didn't matter if it was love or if it would last until tomorrow, forever or never again. We were right here, right now. The night was ours and it was swelling only for us. I felt heat and wetness when you ran your finger up my thigh. Kill them all, so there's only you and me. I sat on your lap, you pulled up my dress. We may have looked innocent from afar, just like some two lovebirds, embraced on a park bench. I felt your rapid breathing on my neck. A little girl ran past us chasing a squirrel. Maybe we shouldn't. What if someone sees us? I put your fingers in my mouth. Let's hide. It turns me on when you have second thoughts, when you are all so shivery, unsure, when you blush, eager and warm, when you become wet. Remember? All of them. Only you and me. Would you like to? You touch my hair and pull it lightly. It was clear what is not supposed to be said. That we were not allowed this one sentence. Not a single love, not a single you. Nothing that could tie up, bind or limit us. That this relation must never turn into routine, a home, children, dinners, lamentation, family holidays, bathroom renovation, that only in this way we will last. We had various less or more serious relationships. We dated other boys, other girls, remember? You carried me around and I smelled your sweaty neck. One of those many girls whose name has since slipped into oblivion was waiting for you just then. Maybe it was the owner of the earring I found in your sheets right after we made love. A green, teardrop-shaped one. I swirled it in my finger so it reflected light on the wall. You stroked my naked belly. What is she like? I asked. You told me she painted her two nails bright red and had a tongue as sharp as cats do. She has passed just like all of the others. I didn't care too much, but you? Quite the opposite. Sometimes out of the blue, jokingly, yet with anger and resentment, you'd say that all those boys, that they look at me so hungrily, that I know what they think, what they imagine, and I would answer, come on, let them look, let them touch. You know I only allowed it when I want to. Remember? We would go our own ways, kind of separately but always alongside, so that we were close in every moment, even after a long absence. There were days that I missed you, and days that I lived my own stories, where you had no place. I knew you would come back. Like a curse. I wanted it. I didn't. It was a long time ago. A long time ago in Poland, in a block of flats in the suburbs, with the ceilings hanging so low that every single thought released from one's head would bounce back, hitting the floor with a bang and shatter into pieces. The lift was broken and the ripped out piece of paper hanging on the door informed that this was due to people pissing in it. My parents went gone to the allotment. The flat was tiny and cluttered with books, but luckily all ours. Finally, we could make love on a bed, like adults, slowly and without worrying that someone would catch us. You said, I see us together in 20-30 years. We're lying down just like this, naked, messy, you with your satisfied smile. I answered laughing, no way, definitely not. Why? Because in 20 years I'll be a whole different person, someone you will never find, and even if you do, you won't recognize me. I'd recognize you even the most sophisticated life camouflage. I'll bump into you in an unexpected moment and take you by surprise. I will say, you've become a beautiful woman, but you are still just a girl. You will hesitate whether to stay like this or leave. After all, it's been so long. You'll pretend to be surprised. Sir, you must have confused me with someone else. You will ask, are you sure we know each other? And after a while, have we had the pleasure? The gleam in your eyes will prompt the answer. Oh yes, we've had the pleasure. And more than once. Sweet tension between us. No idea what comes next. You will wear an elegant black knee-length dress with a zipper at the back. I'll come closer and then slowly, gently unzip it. I wasn't sure whether to take any of this seriously. In my space-time there was no in 20 years, let alone in 30. I was in right here and I was in right now. I had you now and I didn't want it any other time. It was one of these rare evenings that last forever. We were standing on a balcony. We saw lights going out in other flats, one after another. I was humming a song and you were tapping an unsteady rhythm on the railing. My legs were bare and the chill was so pleasant. Stars were blinking at us and I thought that maybe out there, in this night sky twinkling with silver dots, is an identical parallel couple, a boy and a girl, just like us. They are looking in our direction. They see us standing on one of the balconies attached to one of these same looking concrete 10-story building, surprised that we, too, are blinking at them. And then time sped up rapidly. It was morning already. You've sneaked out thinking I was still asleep. Without a goodbye and without making any noise, you ran down the stairs. And you haven't turned around. You couldn't have known that I was standing on the balcony, still bed warm, that I was watching you go, that. I didn't want anything, had no expectation. I let you go although I'd never really had you. Perhaps you were afraid of your me and you and 30 years dreams. Maybe you didn't want to scare me off with such a fat-fetched thought. Maybe I was the right moment to stop it, retreat before, to run away only to avoid waking up at a point of no return. How could you have known I was watching if you hadn't turned around? You left the city the next day. I stayed. We went our own ways again, separately, but alongside. I didn't miss you. I didn't want to. I played different games, had fun with different people. After some time, a letter came. 3 pages of passionate confessions to be read between the lines. 3 tsunami-strong pages. I drowned. I lay numb and breathless for hours, days, weeks. You've tied me up with this confession. You've done what we were never supposed to do to ourselves. Not a single love or you in those 3 pages, but all the other words screamed out. I buried the letter deep down and decided to forget. As I was forgetting, you were sitting on the pavement in one of hot southern European cities, drinking wine out of the box. Someone was hitting the drum and you were breathing fire and spinning around to the rhythm. The coins were pinging, languages were mixing, Spanish, Portuguese, Russian, English, Italian. One smile was enough to become best mates, friends for one night. Beer, wine, vodka, jazz, te quiero mucho, you'd whisper to those nubile and kin. You'd close your eyes, but something was missing. You knew exactly what. The heat of the summer night lasted. You picked strawberries in some place, you painted pictures and sold them on the streets. In the evening, you danced with fire, letting the music lead you. In winter, you'd feed pizza to local rats at Notre Dame. You'd watch the reflection of the Sagrada Familia in a pond. And when you threw a stone, the building would dance and bounce its hips. You pitched a tent between the lake and Halikunas beach. Each morning you'd dig out some of coins from the sand, and when you collect enough, you'd go to the surfer bar and order a mojito. You met some paraglides and you jumped off the cliff with them. A half-finished guy building houses out of straw gave you a ride. At a flea market, some guy tried to sell you an earless lassie dog figure, a worn-out fur coat and a kaleidoscope. You took the kaleidoscope but you lost it, went madly running through some Arab port town where a famous writer was hiding a few decades ago after unsuccessfully playing William Tell with his wife. You wanted to visit the hotel where he'd crashed, but you got lost. In black alleys they whispered, "Ashish, Ashish," but it wasn't what you wanted. Not this. You bought the ticket and headed further south. The bus glided through the sand night and day. From time to time you'd look through the window and, like a mirage, see some girl holding a desert fox, or a ram hanging upside down and dripping blood. One day you spotted a huge skeleton, maybe camels, or an elephant, or maybe some dinosaurs. In this scorching heat, everything seems both possible and unreal. The bus sped. Sometimes it would stop by some stand where one could buy something that resembled a rat shashlik. They treat you with a cup of hot sweet tea with mint. You'd say, "Shukran, shukran," but it wasn't everything you knew. in this snake-like, swirled, serpentine language. The locals would nod, and no one knew if they understood or just nodded. 40 degrees Celsius in the shade. The bus stopped. Someone made it clear that you won't go any further, because this was where the dispute territory started, Western Sahara, unofficial border. He spoke French and was about your age. His uncle cousin, or maybe his cousin's uncle, ran a hostel. Very good price for you, my friend. You walk down a narrow alley, and even narrower one to the left, around the corner, and then into a dark gate. This is where you stayed, in a room painted green on a dirty greyish mattress. The next morning, the sand on the beach by the ocean was bright and fine as never before. On the horizon you spotted a small plane on a dune, a miniature replica with a plate informing that right here Antoine de Saint-Exupéry wrote The Little Prince. And then you remembered. You became responsible forever for what you've tamed. You ran to the hostel. You asked if they had a phone, because you have to make an urgent phone call to a number you knew by heart, because it rhymed so well, because you knew that at the other side of the wire, thousands of kilometers northeast across the sea, in a desert of concrete tin-story blocks, there is a tiny flat on the 6th floor, and in that flat there is a red phone and a voice that will say to you, "I'm sure you won't find me in 20 years, and even if you do, you won't recognize me." Someone gave you lengthy and complicated direction to the post office. You dashed off. They look at you, at a madman. Hardly ever did anyone run like this in this drowsy town. Let them look. At that moment you wanted to hear hello so badly. You wanted to say, "It's so good to hear you. Your voice is so sweet, honey sweet." And to hear laughter in response. You would ask, trying to sound serious with all your might, "Are you dating anyone now?" And I would answer lazily, slowly, "Not at this particular moment." And you would say, "And would you like to?" Then, after a while, hesitantly whispering, "Would you like me?" But no, the phone didn't work. No signal. You kept putting it down and picking it up like in a daze. The man at the post office didn't know what was going on. Eventually agitated, he communicated in his curvaceous serpentine language with supposedly 4 different types of age that you wouldn't make a call, because the phone was broken. The whole round sounded more or less like Allah, 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 or perhaps even Akbar. The deaf and dumb receiver hung dismally, dangling to the rhythm. Your heart went fast into 2-beat rhythm, to the south, to the northeast. Remember what you've tamed. This was before omnipresent reception, before free Wi-Fi, before limitless LTE, all this technology which lets you send a snap instead of writing unnecessary words. Today, maybe you would just like take a selfie with a turban on your head, choose coordinates and location, Tarfaya, Morocco, and 15 minutes later I would give you a like. You would know, I know, and I would know that you want it. You wouldn't have missed me, you wouldn't have felt this uncertainty, you wouldn't have hesitated. You would open my story, you would see what I've eaten, where I've been, who I've taken photos with. But then, in the desert rampage, in African heat, in the sun that burns the ground almost at right angle, you took a pen and wrote down a 3-page love letter. You stuck a stamp and put it in a letterbox. And the very same afternoon, you began to regret. But it happened, and that's it. Today they call it "you only live once." In short, YOLO. You only live once, so don't think twice. Done. For a moment you thought about writing another letter asking me not to read the previous one and if I do to forget all of it. But you haven't done it because your mate, very good price for you, my friend, whose uncle's cousin ran a hostel, took you to a bar where music was playing, you smoked weed together, and in a small cage right under the ceiling there was a small colorful bird, and it was singing. Your head was pounding in the morning. You ran to plank in the ocean and thought that the letter you'd sent the day before surely will get lost on its way. You made yourself successfully believe this self-fulfilling prophecy. You'd believe it, and you gave yourself an additional confirmation because the more you believe in something, the more likely it is to happen. You were on your way back from the beach, all wet and salty. Girls in hijabs were playing balls on the school playground. They glanced at you shyly. You turned into some narrow lane, then a yet narrower one. You took your backpack from the hostel, got on a bus, and rode in the opposite direction, up north. Soon enough, you fell asleep and dreamt that each kilometer brought you closer to me.